this is Joelle, and I'm just going to create a little screencast, just video, just me, to tell you a little bit about my project and my experience teaching a colleague how to use Screencast-O-Matic. So I had a colleague come over, and I had her bring her own laptop, and the reason for that is that I wanted her to really try it on her own device, so that if she ever wanted to do it again, that wouldn't be a barrier of trying it on a new device. She'd have already had experience on her own device. So she brought her own laptop, and I explained to her my project about screencasting and empowering educators to kind of share a little bit about what we do. And I showed her my screencast, and I talked about kind of the research I'd done, and so away to the races. First thing we did is we downloaded Screencast-O-Matic onto her computer, and of course that could be a challenge if you're helping someone who's not used to downloading apps or software, and she was kind of used to it, so that was pretty good. Took a little bit of time. But again, it's always a challenge when you do something for the first time because so much of the learning might not be connected to the goal of the learning. Like downloading an app is not really something you're ever going to have to do again for your next screencast, but anyway, more on that later. We talked a little bit about the content of a screencast, and I think that as educators, a lot of us feel that what we do is just kind of what we do, no big deal. But the more we talk with people, we realize that a lot of times what is easy for one person is new and amazing for another person. So I remember having that experience. I typed up a word wall. I hadn't even made up the words, but I just literally typed it up and formatted it. And a bunch of teachers were like, wow, this is amazing. Thanks for sharing. You're so generous. And I was like, I just typed something up. And then I went into another class and I saw the way a teacher had organized her bussers and her walkers on the door of her kindergarten class. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to totally copy this idea. And she thought this was just so incredibly obvious of a way of organizing things. So a lot of things that are obvious to one teacher aren't always obvious to another teacher. And rather than constantly reinventing, we could use screencasting to share our ideas. So I was asking Bonnie to think about what is something that she does that's not a big deal to her, but that other people might want to know. So she's a supply teacher, and she is very used to using the Applied Education program, which not everyone is used to using that website. So she made a screencast on how to manage your schedule on Applied Education. So how to block off a day to show that you're busy, or book a day, that kind of stuff. So that was the first thing, is thinking about what's the content going to be. The next thing we discussed was whether you write out a script or do it spontaneously. So the benefits of writing out a script is that it's predictable. You know exactly what you're going to say because you've really planned it out and it's well thought out. The downside is that it takes a lot more time. The benefits of doing it spontaneously is that it's quick, and that I think it feels a little bit more natural and interpersonal. You get a sense of the person's personality and who they are. The downside, of course, is that if you make a mistake, you could kind of panic or think you have to redo it, that kind of thing. So we decided to go in the end with spontaneous, and the idea was just go with it because my goal is for this to be easy. When we talk in person, we make mistakes and we correct ourselves and we move on. So that's kind of the idea, and I think the more people get used to screencasting, the easier that and more natural that will be. We made the recording, and after that was done, I think she was pretty happy with it, and then came the time to upload it to YouTube. So again, because this is the first time doing this on her computer, she didn't have a YouTube channel. So as board employees, we are able to do that on our board Gmail accounts. But again, this was just an extra step that required a little bit of brain power in our first time that wouldn't have to be repeated in another time. So we uploaded it to YouTube, and then we talked a little bit about how you manage your settings on YouTube. Do you want it to be public? Do you want it to be private? Do you want it to be searchable? Do you want it to be password protected, different things that you might consider, and then also tags. So what might someone search for when they're looking for a video like yours? So we put that up, and I think it was a fun experience, and we did a little interview afterwards, and I asked Bonnie some questions. So she had never made a screencast before. She knew what screencasting was a little bit. She didn't know the name of screencasting, but she had used screencasting for kind of tech help when she had computer problems. But this was her first time making a screencast, and I think because it was her first time doing that, the biggest challenge that she talked about was thinking about the content. Like, what do I have to share in this kind of venue? Because she has lots of great ideas, but is it conducive to showing someone a screen on my computer? So that was kind of interesting. another thing that was interesting is when we watched it, she said, "Oh, I don't hate my voice as much as I thought I would." And I think that's maybe a nod to us just getting more used to technology and maybe microphones being better now than they were in the past. She said she really liked it and she could imagine using this as a teacher for her students, for parents also. We talked about, showing how you might read a book with a child and how you might encourage parents to do that. But that, again, just saying that since it was new, as is the case often with technology, just needing a little more time to percolate how she might use this. She thought it was pretty straightforward, Screencast-O-Matic. And again, that biggest barrier was integrating the concept so that it matched the kind of genre of screencasting. And one of the things that kind of was an aha moment for both of us, it was we realized that screencasting is kind of a different way of doing procedural writing. So not in this kind of, it's just me in a video kind of screencast, but the kind of screencast where you're showing someone your screen and then you click here and then you click here. First, then, next, finally. That this is just another way of doing procedural writing, and it might be a neat way to differentiate for students. So that is a little bit about how my action research on my inquiry project went, and now I'm also getting to test out Screencast-O-Matic in a full screencast of myself. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.